What doesn't change tells us what's true. Turn a map, and the city beneath it doesn't rearrange itself to suit our hands. Transpose a melody into a new key, and the feeling persists, recognizable and whole. When a story survives a change of viewpoint, we grant it trust. That quiet test is the heart of symmetry. It is the world saying, "Describe me how you like. If your descriptions are faithful, my answers won't flinch." Symmetry separates the world from our angle on it. We can stand here or there, call this point 0 or that one, start the stopwatch now or 10 minutes from now. Yet honest experiments agree when we compare notes. In this sense, symmetry isn't ornament. It's the discipline of fair comparison. It is how nature tells us which features belong to reality and which are just our labels and choices. Begin with the simplest freedoms, slides and shifts. If the rules don't secretly change from one street to the next, motion keeps its story. Push off on ice and you glide, not because ice likes you, but because the laws don't care where you happen to be. That indifference is a promise, and the promise comes with a receipt. Momentum is kept. In the same spirit, if the rules don't age between morning and noon, then what's accounted for in 1 hour appears again in the next. That promise has its own receipt. Energy is kept. These keeps are not imposed from the outside. They're the world's way of balancing the books when we shift our description in space or time and the outcomes stay put. Turn the apparatus and the story still holds. A compass doesn't sulk because you rotated the table. A skater's spin doesn't unravel because the rink looks different from the stands. When the view can turn and the plot won't budge, something steady is at work. Angular momentum keeps its tally. You feel it in the tug of a gyroscope when you try to twist it in the way a planet holds its path, while space around it presents no preferred direction. Rotational honesty, rotational doesn't care, demands a conserved spin. So far we've talked about sameness across places and times, and about turning without changing. But symmetry carries a deeper grace. It allows freedom in how we set our local references, then calls for a guide to keep comparisons fair. Imagine a city where each neighborhood tunes its instruments slightly differently. Within each block, the music makes sense, but when bands meet at the park, they need a way to stay in harmony. A shared line the conductor traces in the air, telling every section how to translate from their local key into a common song. This is the gentle heart of a gauge idea, in plain words. You are free to choose your local reference, your tuning, your phase, your zero at every point. That freedom is precious. It lets each neighborhood live comfortably in its own frame. But if we want the city to agree on harmonies across distance, we must add a thread that tells us how references change from door to door. That thread is a connection. It is a courier that carries the rule for comparing notes from here to there. And because it enforces fair comparisons everywhere, it feels to us like a force. Think of it this way. When local freedoms meet global consistency, a messenger appears. In the realm of electricity and light, that messenger is the electromagnetic field. A translator ensuring that what you call in step on your block still looks in step across town. The account number this courier tracks is electric charge. Who owes how much harmony to whom? Nothing mystical hides here. Only a commitment that different neighborhoods can keep time together without surrendering their local freedom. Global sameness needs only agreement. Local freedom needs a guide. Each symmetry writes in a ledger. If you can slide without changing the story, momentum must be conserved. If you can shift in time without rewriting the script, energy must be conserved. If you can turn the scene without altering the plot, angular momentum must be conserved. If your local tunings can be changed with the courier keeping pace, charges must balance, and their influences must travel by the messenger's rules. These ledgers are not optional. They're the necessary receipts that make consistent stories possible. Engines work, antennas talk, gyroscopes guide, and circuits sing because the ledgers are kept. Symmetry also teaches humility. It doesn't say the world is perfect. It says, here is what our comparisons care about. When a symmetry is exact, its promises are strict. When a symmetry is only approximate, the promises are softened. Tiny leaks appear and we can measure them. And when a symmetry breaks, when a system gives up a high freedom to gain a lower energy, new patterns bloom. Cool, a fluid, and crystals select a lattice. A chill a metal, and a magnet chooses a direction. A snowfield solidifies into 6-point stars. The old freedom is gone, but a new order arrives, bold and specific. From the outside, it looks like loss. From the inside, it is a birth. Broken symmetry is the doorway through which structure walks. If this feels abstract, remember, you already use symmetry every day. You rotate a map and expect streets to meet. You move a recipe from morning to evening and expect it to taste the same. You transpose a song and expect it to charm in a new key. You have always been a keeper of invariance, a quiet custodian of what doesn't change when we change our minds. You already think like a physicist. Today we merely gave names to your native instincts. There is comfort here. Symmetry tells us the world is not a kaleidoscope of arbitrary whims. There are promises beneath appearance, promises kept when we all change our point of view. A law is a promise the universe keeps when we all change our point of view. That line is not poetry for its own sake. It is a North Star. It says that the fairness we try to show one another, listening from more than one angle, checking that our stories agree when we rotate the picture, is a reflection of the fairness built into nature's grammar. And symmetry does more than soothe, it empowers. Because of it, we can predict that a rocket will coast when engines fall silent, that a clock will mark equal seconds whether we read it at dawn or dusk, that a tuned instrument will blend on any stage. It allows engineers to design machines that rely on keeps, gyros that refuse to be turned, circuits that balance charges to the last electron, radio dishes that aim and hold. When promises are kept, we can build on them. Yet symmetry is not the end of the tale. It is the beginning of a richer one. For when we zoom out, group the details, and let relationships accumulate, new promises appear, relations among relations. Patterns emerge that care less about the atoms and more about the way the patterns themselves fit together. Rivers braid, traffic flows, lungs branch, minds learn. The old ledgers still matter, but now there are new ones as well, written in wider strokes. Pressure and flow, learning and memory, supply and demand. Emergence is what happens when relations hold hands. So let this be our bridge. We have learned how the universe keeps its stories honest, by honoring what doesn't change when we change our view, and by sending couriers to harmonize our local freedoms. Now, we'll step back. We'll watch relations stack into worlds, see how new laws appear at new scales, and find ourselves in the mirror. Creatures whose lives are loops of relation, stitched to meaning by the very promises we've come to trust. Zoom out, and new promises appear. Relations among relations. That's emergence.